I'll never forget the night my phone buzzed at 10 p.m. A message from the HOA. You are being fined $250 for excessive holiday decorations. At first I laughed. My lights? Excessive? Come on, I'd spent weeks putting them up with my kids. It was our family tradition. The warm glow, the music-synced lights, the Santa inflatables. It was festive, not a crime. But the HOA didn't see it that way. Or rather, Karen didn't. Every neighborhood has that one person. The self-appointed rule enforcer. In ours, it was Karen. She lived 3 houses down, always watching, always complaining. If your trash can stayed out a minute too long, she'd take pictures. If your grass grew half an inch over regulation, expect a letter. So when I got that fine, I knew exactly who was behind it. The next morning, I caught her staring at my house, arms folded, smug expression plastered across her face. Too bright for you, Karen? I called out, trying to stay civil. She smirked. The HOA has rules, Mark. You should have read the handbook. My blood boiled, but I bit my tongue. Instead of arguing, I decided to fight back. The right way. I went through every page of that HOA manual. Nowhere did it say anything about too many lights. Just that decorations should be removed after January 10th. Mine were perfectly within the rules. That night, I sent a polite but firm email to the HOA board, attaching photos, timestamps, and even a video of my display. Proof I'd done nothing wrong. But Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, I received another notice. Failure to comply with HOA guidelines will result in further penalties. She had doubled the fine. That's when I realized this wasn't about lights. It was personal. Karen had always hated how our house drew the most attention during the holidays. Cars would line up outside, families taking pictures, kids pointing and laughing with joy. It was everything she couldn't stand. Happiness, noise, and neighbors gathering. Well, if she wanted a fight, she was about to get one. Because this time, I wasn't taking down the lights. I was going to make them brighter. And the world, including the news, was about to see it. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of pounding on my front door. I opened it to see 2 HOA board members standing stiffly beside Karen, who was clutching a clipboard like it was a weapon. Mr. Daniels, one of them began. We've received multiple complaints about your lights disturbing the neighborhood. I looked over at Karen. She was smiling, enjoying every second. Complaints? I asked. From who? The families who stop by to enjoy them? Karen snapped. From residents who value peace and order. You've turned this street into a circus. I clenched my jaw. The only circus here, Karen, is your attitude. Her eyes widened. Excuse me? Before she could respond, I pointed to the HOA handbook I was holding. There's nothing in these rules that bans decorative lights before January 10th. I'm well within my rights. The board members exchanged uncertain glances. Clearly, they hadn't expected me to come prepared. Karen, realizing she was losing control, shifted tactics. Fine, she said coldly. Then maybe the city will have something to say about the traffic you're causing. And just like that, she stormed off. 2 days later, my street looked like a parking lot. Karen had called the city, claiming my decorations were causing safety hazards. A code enforcement officer showed up, clipboard in hand. I explained everything, showed my permits, even played the recording of Karen admitting to targeting me. The officer shook his head. You're not breaking any laws, sir. Honestly, this is one of the nicest displays I've seen. Karen stood nearby, fuming, her face red. So you're just going to let him get away with this? She barked. The officer sighed. Ma'am, unless he's violating a code, there's nothing I can do. But Karen didn't give up. That night, she took things to a whole new level. I caught her sneaking into my yard on my security camera, unplugging my extension cords. She thought no one would notice, but I had motion sensors, and within seconds, my phone buzzed with alerts and clear footage of her caught red-handed. That's when I decided to end this once and for all. I posted the video to our neighborhood forum, with the caption, "Caught in the act, when enforcing rules goes too far." Within hours, it exploded. Neighbors were furious. People started leaving comments defending me and calling out Karen for harassment. But the best part? Someone from the local news station saw it and reached out. They wanted to do a story. The next morning, my phone rang before sunrise. A cheerful voice said, "Hi, this is Sarah from Channel 7 News. We saw your video. Would you be open to an interview about your HOA dispute?" I almost laughed. You mean the one where my neighbor tries to ruin Christmas? She chuckled. Exactly that one. Viewers love a good underdog story, especially this time of year. By noon, a full news crew was parked outside my house. Cameras, lights, the works. My front yard, glowing with thousands of colorful bulbs, looked like something out of a holiday movie. Neighbors came out to watch as the reporter set up. Even the kids from down the street gathered, waving candy canes and cheering. And of course, Karen was there too. She stood on her porch, arms crossed, fuming. You could almost feel the steam rising from her. The reporter approached me. "So Mark, tell us what happened." I kept my tone calm, though my heart was racing. "Every year my family decorates our home for the holidays. It brings joy to the community. Families stop by, kids take pictures. But one HOA member decided it was too much. Instead of joining the spirit, she fined us." The reporter raised an eyebrow. "And that member is—" I gestured subtly toward Karen's house. "Let's just say she prefers darkness over joy." The crowd laughed. Cameras flashed, and just like that, the story took off. Karen tried to hide, but she couldn't resist coming over. She stormed across the lawn mid-interview, shouting, "You can't film here! This is private property." The reporter smiled professionally. "Ma'am, we have permission from the homeowner." "That's me," I said, waving. Karen's face turned crimson. "You're twisting the story. He's been disturbing the entire neighborhood." But before she could dig herself deeper, my neighbor, Mrs. Clark, a sweet old lady who'd lived here for decades, stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said firmly. "Those lights are the highlight of our year. My grandkids visit just to see them. If you don't like joy, maybe you're the problem." The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras caught every second. Karen standing there, stunned, speechless, surrounded by neighbors siding against her. When the news aired that evening, it was titled, "A Grinch Tries to Ruin Christmas, Community Shines Back." Overnight, my house became a local landmark. People drove from miles away just to see the famous lights. And Karen, well, her reputation was officially burned out. By the next morning, everything had changed. The story had gone viral. My inbox flooded with messages from neighbors, strangers, even local businesses offering to sponsor next year's display. Channel 7's clip had millions of views online. Headlines read things like, "The man who saved Christmas from the HOA Grinch." But Karen, she wasn't handling it well. She tried to defend herself in the HOA group chat, saying the video was edited to make her look bad. But no one bought it. Screenshots of her unplugging my lights were everywhere. The HOA board called an emergency meeting that evening. When I walked in, the room was silent. Everyone looked uncomfortable. Karen sat at the end of the table, staring at the floor. The president cleared his throat. "Mark, we've reviewed the footage, the complaints, and, well, the public backlash. It's clear that what happened was uncalled for." Karen's head snapped up. "Wait, you're taking his side?" The president sighed. "You trespassed on his property, Karen. That's a serious violation. Effective immediately, you're being suspended from your HOA duties." Her jaw dropped. "You can't do that." But they already had. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in years, Karen had nothing to say. She just grabbed her clipboard, muttered something about ungrateful neighbors, and stormed out. When I stepped outside, I was met with a sight I'll never forget. The entire neighborhood was gathered in front of my house, lights twinkling, kids laughing, neighbors holding cups of hot cocoa. Mrs. Clark stood by the driveway, holding a handmade sign that read, "We stand with the lights!" Someone handed me a microphone connected to a small speaker. "Say something, Mark," they shouted. I smiled, feeling the chill in the air and the warmth in my chest. These lights were never about competition. They're about community, about joy, kindness, and bringing people together. This, I gestured to the glowing scene around me. This is what the holidays are meant to look like. Cheers erupted. Fireworks cracked in the distance. For once, our little street felt alive again. Later that night, as I turned off the last set of lights, I found an envelope taped to my door. Inside was a short note in Karen's handwriting. "You made your point. Maybe next year. I'll put up a few lights too." I couldn't help but smile. Maybe she'd finally seen the light. Literally. And that, I thought, was the real Christmas miracle. If you enjoyed watching karma light up this story, don't forget to hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell me what you'd do if Karen lived next to you.